right. Well, welcome to the webinar today. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Matt. I'm filling in here for Sean, who I'm with Contractor Appointments. I've been in the home improvement industry, everything from nailing on a shingle, flipping houses, to the back office, working with contractors on lead generation. So happy to be here. I am super excited and glad to be here with Sarah Kreps with Hearth. Sarah, if you want to introduce yourself, a little bit of your history, and we'll get right in to talking about financing today.
Of course. So my name is Sarah Kreps. I'm the business development manager here at Hearth. And basically, my background is I've been working specifically with contractors for about 6 years on all different sides, helping contractors build their business, whether that was through digital marketing. And now here at Hearth, we're really helping contractors with all financial tools that they need. Whether that be financing, payments, or giving them a tool in their back pocket that they can use to offer homeowners monthly payments on their projects. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm sure there's lots of statistics and different things we might get into here, but really the whole focus of our conversation that we want to have is how to really eliminate, how do we eliminate credit card declines, as well as maximize if you're investing into marketing, whether that's internally through Facebook and pay-per-click campaigns, or if you're using third-party lead generators like ourselves and some of the others in the marketplace. How do you maximize that ROI? So that's going to be the kind of the central point of our conversation today. So I think that's just a good place to start on the conversation. How are home improvement companies using financing, really kind of just on the front end of the customer journey? If we want to start there, and kind of for what you're seeing in the marketplace.
Yeah, definitely. That's a great question. I think contractors are using financing in the first part of the customer journey. Really, where I see it used at the beginning is really in all their advertising materials. I think
Okay.
it's hard nowadays to not listen to a radio spot for a roofing company, and at the end, consistently you're going to hear, we offer financing or payment plans available. So we see it in radio spots, we see it in contractors when they're handing out flyers if they go door to door. We also are seeing it in contractors on the front end in their digital lead generation efforts. So a lot of contractors, if they're paying for SEO, if PPC on their website, they will have banners that say, we offer financing or payment plans available, monthly payment options. And on the front end, what that's doing, for the customer is letting the customer know that as a contractor, we have a ton of different ways that you can pay for the project. When a homeowner is trying to find a company to work with, they're really evaluating that company on two things. I would say number one is going to be price, right? That's going to be one of the biggest pieces. And then number two is going to be how comfortable and how good at communicating the contractor is. So in their communication up front, if the contractor is letting homeowners know, hey, we have the options available to you from a payment perspective, that's going to be really vital. And then I would say the second place that I see it in kind of on the front end of the customer journey is really during the appointment set and confirmation process. So when a contractor is calling out, let's say on a lead, or let's say they get an appointment from you guys and they're calling to confirm, something that we're seeing a lot of contractors who do offer financing do is they'll ask the homeowner up front if they want to get pre-qualified. How are you thinking about paying for this project? Are you interested in financing? And then right from there, they're able to send out a text message with, pre-qualification link to get the homeowner the pre-qual link for their financing options. So I'd say like those two pieces in really the advertising up front, and then in the appointment set process is where financing is being put in front of the customer during that front process.
Right. Now, I can resonate with that. We definitely see, when you're running a marketing campaign, if you're a marketing manager and you're looking at your own pay-per-click stuff that's internally or flyers, or really, right, it doesn't really matter what the channel is. You're always trying to make an offer that's shiny, that gets somebody interested enough to take the next step, right? So anything we can do to get that, I think a big leap, if you're not currently offering that financing in any of your advertising messaging or the offers you're making, you've got to be prepared, not only in your scripting, but also systematically to actually then go and fulfill on that offer. How does Hearth kind of fit into the I don't know if you guys offer any type of scripting, but obviously the systematic to be able to fulfill on the system side.
Absolutely. So we do offer scripting. We have account managers
Okay,
who will
cool.
coach a lot of our contractors on the best ways to be incorporating the financing terminology within their estimation process or within their sales process. And I think really what makes Hearth super easy to use and kind of a no brainer for really any contractor is that unlike traditional financing, we can work with literally any contractor. You don't have to get underwritten. You don't have to be in business for 2 years. You don't have to be doing more than $2 million in annual revenue. We'll be able to work with companies of any size. And because the program is so easy and because every contractor gets their own branded pre-qualification page that they can send out to the homeowner, all they have to do is open the Hearth mobile app and then they can offer financing from a system standpoint. They don't have to worry about, filling a ton of paperwork with the bank, going back and forth on rates. It's really as easy as pulling open the pre-qualification page and presenting that to the homeowner.
Okay, cool. No, I didn't. So I didn't know about the scripting on that side of things. So I'm asking a lot of honest questions here,
No, you're
and
totally fine.
I'm
No,
taking some notes here myself for when I'm, I get asked some of these questions. Sometimes you know how we could do this.
and I
So
think
then,
contractors have to get more comfortable with offering financing language, right? Like when they're breaking down pricing. I think pricing is also probably one of the hardest conversations to have as
right.
a newer construction company to get comfortable with actually pricing out a project and then presenting it to the homeowner.
Mhm.
And what we're seeing our most successful contractors do from a scripting standpoint when presenting financing is always presenting the full payment size in monthly payments.
Mhm.
A lot of the times, some of these construction projects, homeowners have no idea. I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but we had our central AC system go out a couple of years ago, and really, I had no concept of how much this was going to cost.
Right.
And it ended up being a $10,000 ticket. And when the HVAC contractor came out and met with us, they actually presented it as, this will be $10,000 for cash, or you can do around $175 a month, dependent on what bucket your credit falls into. And I think
Right.
like giving homeowners options in the scripting
Mhm.
can just help you close more projects as a contractor.
Right. I'm curious, just even, yeah, as a consumer myself, how soon in the process, obviously, if it's in the advertising, then maybe somebody has that in mind, but maybe a lead comes in through another channel, but they aren't thinking about financing.
Mm.
How soon in the conversation do we put that out there, right? Just from an emotional standpoint, if you're thinking about connecting with that customer who's a human who has needs and wants and so many different things going on, it's the society we live in. How do you emotionally start to introduce that? Obviously, you've got to be comfortable with it as the contractor, but how do you start to inch that in? Is there a specific script or anything like that?
Yeah. I think as a contractor, a good way to inch that in is really to try to, when you're meeting with the homeowner, understand what their needs are.
Mm,
I think as contractors and as home improvement companies, ultimately, when we go out to homes to assess really any type of work,
mhm.
there's pain there that the homeowner has, right? Like if you're an HVAC contractor and you go out to a home and their AC is broken, there's real pain there. They've been sitting in 100 degrees for
Right.
3 days
Mhm.
and they're hot. So understanding what the pain is and then using financing as just a way to meet and alleviate that homeowner's pain. So I think a lot of the
Right.
times contractors are nervous to offer financing because they don't want to insult the homeowner
Mhm.
by saying that they can't pay for it in cash. But really, what we've come to find is that when contractors just give homeowners the options of financing, it's kind of like a contractor giving homeowners options with the types of materials that they're using. They're just
Right.
presenting homeowners more options and giving them
Mhm.
more flexibility for the project.
Right. More ways to say yes to that option
Exactly.
if
It's
they want
opening
to move forward.
it's opening up the funnel, right? I
Mhm.
think a lot of us think of it as a sales funnel. You're going to have your appointment set, you're going to have your appointment run, and then you're going to have jobs that are closed won,
Mhm.
closed lost. So when you offer financing, you're able to close win projects that if you weren't able to give the homeowners monthly payments, they would have had to go somewhere else, or maybe they wouldn't have gotten the project done at all.
Right. All right. No, I think that makes a lot of sense, and I can relate to what you're saying. Just in in terms of like a lead quality, what's a good lead versus what's a bad lead, and looking at those holistically from the numbers. If you're able to offer the financing side of things, then a lot more of leads become more viable, right, on that side of things. From the technology, like if you're inside of that application with Hearth, I feel like I always say it wrong. Hearth. I am so
Yeah,
sorry.
no, you're totally fine.
Uh,
It's Hearth, but both work.
yeah, I'm showing up with my hands up on the table saying, this is my own bias on how that, and I've probably heard it said both ways from some of our customers here. Do you find that is it more successful sending that over, sending a financing solution as soon as you get a lead, after you've made contact and booked an appointment maybe, or just waiting till the appointment? Do you see different contractors using that different ways and getting any better or worse results depending upon at what part in the process they start to introduce that actual digital interface, right? The actual application.
Yep. Great question. I think it really, and you kind of answered it, I think it's so dependent on the company. But
Sure.
from my perspective and in speaking, with hundreds of our customers, really the best way to present financing is to have it multiple times, multiple touches. So like
Right.
during your appointment confirmation process, most contractors will send out an automated text message, or maybe they'll send out an email saying, hey, I'll see you tomorrow at 2:00. What we'll suggest contractors do is you can actually just do a light touch right then and say, hey, if you're interested in receiving financing for this project, go ahead and fill out the pre-qualification form, and it will have a link to it in that text message. And with our pre-qualification form, it takes the homeowner 2 minutes, maybe 3 if they're really slow at typing, and
Sure.
it doesn't impact their credit score at all. We do a soft pull. So really, if you introduce it during the appointment confirmation process, then when your sales team gets there, they have a really good idea of what the homeowner's pre-qualified for. Because after the homeowner actually fills out that pre-qualification, you as the contractor can go into your Hearth dashboard and just see what their FICO score range is, and you can see actually the amount they are pre-qualified for. So, I mean, as a salesperson, being able to go into a conversation knowing what their available budget is invaluable when you're selling.
Right.
So that's where we see the first place that contractors are successfully offering financing. And really the second place that we're seeing it is in the home. After they're talking budget, once they present the cost in monthly payments, so it's like, oh, it's around $175 a month. Depending on what your, credit score is, you could go ahead and fill out this pre-qualification. I'll send it over to you right now, and you can fill it out on your phone. Takes 2 minutes, and we can get an idea of what that monthly payment will be for you.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense. I'm curious, do you know like how, and maybe this is, I like these maybe obscure data points, when the application is filled out. So as I start to see, we obviously we look at set rates and issues and demos and gross sales and net sales. So now I'm starting to think about that same stack of, if the application is sent, how many applications are sent versus completed, how many are completed versus they qualified, so they got the financing. Then how many, and this may depend, right, on a lot of circumstances, but then how many qualified and then actually used it to make a purchase? Is there any type of data or things like that you maybe this is a case study on the website somewhere too? I did not I did not check beforehand here, so.
Yeah, no worries. I think that in terms of that funnel, it's similar to leads with every contractor. It's a little bit different depending on what their follow-up is like.
Right.
We'll have some contractors who send the pre-qualification form out to every single appointment. And then, they'll be sending out thousands a month. And then maybe they'll only have a handful of homeowners actually complete it and then move on to each step. I would say with our qualification rate, once a homeowner actually completes that pre-qual, because we have 17 lenders that actually look at their pre-qualification and application to some extent, it's very rare that we can't get them some offer. We work down to a 550 FICO score. So a lot of the times we're able to offer the homeowner something from our 17 lenders, get them, a monthly payment that they feel comfortable with. But of course, you're going to have homeowners then who fill it out and they're like, you know what, actually, we'll go cash, we'll go check. But it's just allowing more people within your funnel. And, as you have your sales funnel, you also have your sales financing funnel. And you have to work to move homeowners through that funnel as well.
Right. Right. Yeah, obviously the classic, the soft closes in selling. Are you thinking about paying with cash, check, or yeah, or the financing options that we send over to you, right? Some of the to
Exactly.
be able to gauge interest, for that. And I think and some of the offers that we run in terms of on the marketing and the digital lead generation side, we get tons of people messaging and commenting on Facebook about asking questions about financing and different programs. We don't offer any financing, obviously. Thus, we have got you here. What's so we're kind of curious, and that's even one of the questions that I had even before the call is how do you stay compliant or legal or safe from like a risk standpoint with what you do say and what you don't say, whether that's in a lead follow up call or even at the appointment. Any high level or specific best practices really on that side.
Yeah, no, that's important. And I think a lot of contractors, they want to make sure that they're staying compliant when they're talking money
Yes,
at the end of the day,
absolutely.
especially because with financing, we're taking the homeowner's date of birth, we're getting a lot of personal information. So we want to
Hmm.
make sure that that homeowner feels comfortable. For the contractor, the way that Hearth works is that because we're giving the loan directly to the
Hmm.
homeowner, and then the homeowner pays cash or check to the contractor actually doesn't take on any risk because these are
Okay.
personal unsecured loans that go directly to the homeowner. What we're providing the contractor is the kind of portal and ability to access all these lenders
Hmm.
for their homeowners. So I
Right.
think from a risk standpoint, when I'm speaking with contractors, it's really just telling the homeowner, hey, we could go ahead and get you pre-qualified. It's going to take 2 minutes. It won't have any impact on your credit score. Whatever rates you see on Hearth for this project are totally dictated by your financial profile.
Hmm.
As a contractor, we don't set the rates. We're not in charge of
Right.
the interest. We're not the one, dealing with your credit, nothing like that. Really, these rates that you see are totally reflective of whatever your current financial profile is. And hopefully we can find a monthly payment, an interest with the right amount of terms that's going to make the most sense for you to get the project completed.
Yeah. And the value of privacy, right? To be able to sell that and present that to your customer, where everyone has a different level of sensitivity around money, especially depending upon how you grew up, determines a lot of your financial thermostat. And so, to be able to even, as I hear you saying that, I had a gutter estimate out actually a couple weeks ago, and they had financing and different things that were available. They wanted to rebuild our entire soffit and fascia. So the whole long story is yeah, their estimate was about 4 times higher than everybody else. So the financing would have been very necessary
Right.
if we would have chosen to do that on that side of things. But just the ability to set somebody at ease. This is a completely secure portal. I'm not going to see your information, which from an information standpoint, that's something we're obviously looking at and very concerned about on the TCPA and all that lead generation side of things. But I was curious, does it integrate with CRM or any technology, or are there some hard boundaries separating systems for that reason on privacy, or how does that work within a marketing stack, so to speak?
Yep. So we don't integrate because of the client privacy,
Right.
because we hold so much client information. But
Mhm.
really, the nice thing with a CRM is that once you tell the homeowner, hey, we're going to send you the pre-qualification link. They pick out the loan option that's best for them.
Mhm.
Really, as a contractor, you wipe your hands and go away. You don't need to deal
Right.
with any other part of the process. The homeowner then receives the money into their bank account. It's typically 1 to 3 business days. And
Okay.
as a contractor, you're paid check, cash. They could pay you on a credit card if they prefer to get points. So you as a contractor, when you're using Hearth, it's really turning a financing deal into a cash deal.
Right.
Because the homeowner is funded directly, once you send the
Mhm.
pre-qualification link, they're actually paying the lender directly. They're not paying you monthly. You get
Right.
paid all up front.
Mhm.
Or if you do 50-50, depending on how you structure the payment for the project.
Sure.
But the homeowner is paying you directly, cash in your pocket, and then you move on to the next project.
Right. So really, it's whatever your process is that you're currently following. If I'm looking at like a deal cycle, I'm in an in-home appointment or maybe virtual. Some of our customers are switching to that. a sale is made, a contract gets signed, contingent on financing, or however that contract specifically worded. We've got 1 to 3 days. Obviously, weekends impact that business days here. Um, in most states, 3 to 5 day rescission period. The money's there, and then a check can be completed, can be collected then from the actual customer. So, I guess in my mind, I'm just role playing through those dominoes and how that would work on that side. So, yeah,
No,
to
and
not
I think for the contractor too, they don't have to worry too much about like the paperwork side of it. Cause I know,
right,
for a lot of these home improvement companies, and I totally understand this, the last thing they want to do is have to worry about paperwork involved with financing and
right.
adding additional stress onto their plate. So really it allows them to just focus on doing the work.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. For those homeowners who don't qualify, are there any options or any programs that you have in place to be able to work with those customers to help improve scores or rehash or anything like that?
Yeah. So there's a couple of different options for a homeowner, even if they don't qualify for financing. With Hearth, we do go down to a 550. So it's very rare
Right.
that we can't pre-qualify people, at least with something. But a lot of the times, let's say we can't, they went through a bankruptcy, a recent divorce, something unfortunate happened. A lot of the times we can actually encourage them to just find a co-borrower. So this is someone who can just vouch for their application, and we can resubmit the application through Hearth. The second piece of it would be that we could actually do half cash, half financing. So a lot of customers, let's say, they're trying to rebuild their credit, they could take out maybe a smaller amount for financing instead of the whole $10,000 in financing for the job. Maybe they'll take out $5,000 and pay the other $5,000 in cash. And then I would say the last one is just really to let the homeowner know that you have a bunch, as a contractor, you have different payment options available. And maybe right now, if their credit isn't strong enough and they don't have the cash, it might not be the best time to, let's say, get like a brand new replacement. But as a contractor, maybe you can do like a service job for them or something a little bit smaller. That way they know that you do quality work. And when they're ready to reinvest in their home, you'll be the first person on their mind.
Right. Right. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think through, if you've got a certain number of customers who you went out, you demoed it, you pitched the customer, and they didn't sell. Many of our contractors are using rehash programs with Hatch and other partners on the marketing stack that they've implemented to be able to go back through and reoffer, every deal that didn't close or didn't sign with somebody else, depending upon how they're managing the CRM. Another financing option, right? So if you've got other financing tools or local bank that you've used, be able to rehash those leads with a very specific offer that you could do at scale, right? So paper applications, hopefully going by way of the dinosaur, but to be able to do that at scale for every single lead or every single deal that didn't sell in a 90-day or 180-day period, to me would be pretty powerful. Do you see any contractors do that? They onboard and implement Hearth to their business, and then now they're going to go back and do a bunch of rehash on all their customers?
Absolutely. And we've actually built out a tool for that.
Okay.
So we have a bulk email tool where after a contractor signs up for Hearth, we've actually have a pre-written email that pretty much says, hey, we now offer financing. Feel free to pre-qualify here and kind of understand what your payment options are. And a contractor can upload a list of homeowners, in the past 90 days who maybe were closed lost because it was too expensive or they ghosted them. And then we'll automatically trigger that email to send out to them. And that's an incredibly powerful campaign. But I think, as you said, that rehash piece is so important because a lot of the times homeowners, we mentioned at the initial part of the call, the reason that they're buying is really twofold: price and their comfortability with you, their brand, your brand. They make the person who came out made you feel comfortable. But really those two pieces. So a lot of times if you don't hear back from a homeowner, I talk to contractors all the time who get ghosted. It's just a huge part of the industry that stinks.
Right.
And I would say, and this is probably a little bit high, but like 75 to 80% of those ghosts really come down to price.
Right.
Maybe the homeowner wasn't ready to tell you it was too expensive, but when they say they have to think about it and you never hear back from them, 9 times out of 10, it was because the price that you offered didn't solve the pain that they needed.
Right. Yep.
So being able to offer financing hopefully eliminates some of those price objections or those ghosts or those, I'll have to think about it.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's a good point. It's, not the purpose of this call, but the sales methodology, is what, do you have a repeatable process every single time to ask the same question to get to uncover the objection? Because maybe it's not an objection, maybe it's a real reason that somebody can't move forward if they can't afford the monthly payment, or if the price overall is just too high. Um, you need to know that and disposition that in your CRM accordingly. So then you know to rework if you've got a special or Thanksgiving, or at least in our neck of the woods in Minnesota, it's really slow right now. So lots of snow and negative 30-degree wind chills
Right.
advisories. So you're rehashing leads. You're able to offer some incentives. Uh, Maybe get flexible on a price and then convert another couple percentage points of those leads can have a big impact. I was curious, and I don't know how the visibility into like the type of projects, but is there any like a HVAC or kitchen or a roof, or do you see any stats across the board for like what most contractors are using Hearth for? Like, is there a leading category or any data points on that type of segmentation?
Yeah, I would say probably our biggest category right now is roofing,
Okay.
just because roofing companies typically are going to be really easy to finance. It's a heavy sales organization. So a lot
Right.
of that sales process that's in place,
Hmm.
financing fits in very well with. But
Okay.
really, I think last time I checked, we have contractors in like 43 verticals.
Okay.
So we work with contractors from like concrete finishing, roofing, really all over the map. But it just depends on project size. I would say for financing, we're really not seeing people finance less than $1,000 for a project. It's
Sure.
typically going to be the sweet spot for financing is really like around that $7,000 mark,
Hmm.
$7,000 to $10,000. It's going to be like the sweet spot for us.
All right. 7 to 10.
Yep,
Right.
but then we'll also see contractors we work with, a company that actually does tiny homes, which are very, very popular, especially during
Yeah.
COVID. And they've been doing financing. They're financing like $75,000 projects because
Okay.
we go up to $100,000
Okay.
with our loans. So we'll see anywhere between $1,000 to $100,000 on like loan terms. So it's
Mhm.
just super dependent on the vertical.
Okay, yeah, I was curious. I was curious about max and mins and some of that, but you hit that one there on the 100,000. So that makes a lot of sense. And so average project size, 7 to 10,000. Do you know if is that 100% financed, or is some of that split, like they're paying cash on some of it, or
It's hard.
it's
Yeah, it's
outside
so
of the
hard to
looks
tell.
maybe, right?
But I would say, most of the time, if a homeowner is going to finance a full project, they'll finance all of it, unless maybe
Right.
they can't afford to take out the money. But a lot of the times, they'll go ahead and finance it. Especially something that's been really interesting for me working in this industry is I think a lot of the times we think financing is only for people who don't have cash on hand. Or,
Mhm.
if we pull up to a home, I think contractors a lot of times will kind of make assumptions about who needs financing versus who doesn't. And
Right.
what has been so compelling to me is actually the people who we're financing tend to be people who are making over $100,000 a year and
Mhm.
have really strong FICO scores. And that's because a lot of the time their money is in their 401k and they don't want to take cash out
Right.
of their investment strategies to pay for a roof replacement when they could just make monthly payments and they have a great credit score. So a lot of the times they can do a 0% interest card with us, or, they're only paying our lowest interest rate is like 4.99%. So they're paying 5%
Mhm.
maybe in interest, but the market is making them more money on their cash. So they'd rather pay that little bit in interest.
Right. Right. So
Yep.
not just looking at it from this perspective of, I'm just going to use this to get the bottom of these deals that don't have any money, or that
Yeah.
or questionable income sources. Like, this can be actually a tool to help to help really any type of buyer, and thus having it standardized, right? Because I think there tends to be mindsets, and I want to circle back to that. We'll start to wrap up here soon. But it's the mindset, right? If you're going into a sales appointment and I'm only going to pull this out, right? If they can't pay with a credit card, a check, or anything. And I got 3 kids at home myself, and it's like I've got a nest egg, and I've got some emergency fund and some funds saved up there for a rainy day. But if I need a $3,000 furnace and air conditioning, and furnace especially this time of year in Minnesota, um, yeah, the option to do that, especially if it's between Thanksgiving and Christmas, becomes pretty big, just to provided something like kind of an easy button, right, so to speak,
Totally.
with my lifestyle, right?
No, and I
So,
think like that, just the ability to give homeowners options and not prejudge them
mhm,
as home improvement companies, we need to get better at. And I
right,
think with financing, that's probably one of the biggest things. But even for you guys with marketing and lead gen, I'm sure it's like once a contractor finds out the neighborhood, I've seen it a million times. They're like, oh, I don't want to go over there. I don't know. But
right,
you're leaving money on the table when you're
right,
making decisions and assumptions before you even get there. And I think I'll kind of close with this statistic because I think this is probably the
yeah,
most interesting, is that we find that contractors who offer financing to every single homeowner, no matter if they ask, no matter what their house looks like, they're able to increase their close percentage 17% because they're
okay,
widening their funnel. And
yep,
in turn, they're able to jump their average job ticket size up by 30%. Because when a homeowner is financing and paying monthly, they're much more willing to go for that little bit of nicer material. Maybe they'll add on that half bath replacement if they're already paying monthly. What's the difference between, $15, $20 a month? Doesn't sound as bad as when you present the price in total and it's an extra $5,000. So I think by offering financing on every job, you can significantly grow your profit margins as a business and just put more money in your pocket at the end of the day for work you're already doing, estimates
right.
you're already going on.
Yeah, you've got sunk costs there, right? You've invested in marketing. You've got time with the sales rep going out to meet. You've got the gas and everything else, the technology. Might as well so it sounds like increase your sales rate, expand the project size. If you can get that 30% higher. At the end of the day, as a consumer, I'm just looking to check some things off the list here. So if we can make it as simple as possible. Um,
Totally.
Sounds like a win-win-win all the way around. Love to, as we wrap up here, what's the best way for someone who's interested in implementing? To me, it sounds like more. It's not just implementing Hearth; it's like implementing a financing solution into your entire marketing stack, and to your entire business. How do they go about getting in touch with you on that side of things?
Yeah. The best thing that they can go is go to gethearth.com, fill out a form, and our team will give you guys a call, understand a little bit more about your business, and kind of just advise on how best financing and payments. We have a couple of different workflow tools, how best those can fit into your business, just to make sure you're not leaving money on the table, right? You're going out, you might as well make sure that you're not having homeowners leave saying it's too expensive. So if you go to gethearth.com, fill out the form, our team will give you a shout and kind of advise on where financing can fit in with the business.
Okay, that sounds great. Well, Sarah, I appreciate your time. Any last words or
No,
anything
just
on that end?
wanted to, yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's been great getting to chat, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Yeah, let's do it again soon. Have a great rest of your day. We'll
You
talk to
too.
you soon.
Alrighty, bye.
Bye for now.